Hello, welcome to our European Open briefing for Thursday, September 13th. I'm Rafi Barajan, currency analyst at XM.com, and we're going to be having a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. There's quite a bit of risk on sentiment this morning. We saw risk appetite getting a boost on reports late yesterday that the US has invited China to restart trade talks. We can see Asian indices are mostly closed mostly higher this morning, and we also have a positive start in Europe, with the exception of the FTSE 100 in the UK. The Chinese yuan also got a boost, as well as the Australian dollar. The Aussie is up by 0.3% at around 0.7186 against the US dollar. The Aussie also got a boost from stronger than expected job numbers out of Australia. If we look at European currencies, though, we can see both the euro and the pound giving up some of their earlier gains. The euro, though, is able to hold above the $1.16 level. We are seeing, though, that uncertainty regarding the Italian budget still not going away, and that's capping gains for the single currency. There are reports that there are tensions between the Five-Star Movement Party and the finance minister over the budget. We also have the European Central Bank meeting coming up later today, though no change in policy is expected, so perhaps we could see some volatility for the euro later on during the European session. Sterling, though, is being supported by signs that the UK and the EU are moving towards a Brexit deal and easing threat of a fresh leadership challenge to Theresa May. We also have a Bank of England policy meeting as well coming up later on. If you look at the Canadian dollar, it is more or less flat around 1.30 to the US dollar. There's still some optimism regarding NAFTA, so that's supporting the loonie. We also have higher oil prices. Well, oil prices are lower this morning, but they did see strong gains over the past few days. We saw yesterday Brent moving towards 4-year highs and WTI rising towards 1-week high. This initially came on falling inventories and tightening supply, but then we did get an OPEC report which showed that they expect low demand for 2019, so that is weighing on oil prices this morning, despite the fact that we are seeing some easing in trade tensions. And gold is also flat around $1,205 an ounce. If you look at the biggest gainer this morning, it is the Aussie dollar, followed by dollar yen. Although the dollar did come under pressure against most other currencies due to those receding trade tensions, the yen also fell, which is also a safe haven. So dollar yen is the exception in terms of dollar crosses. Oil prices, though, are down sharply, and Kiwi dollar not really benefiting much from the risk appetite. And a quick look now at the dollar index. We can see it has retreated to around 1.5-week lows. Dollar yen, though, holding around 111.50. So it does appear that the Trump administration wants to first have more talks with China before making up its mind about whether or not to proceed with that $200 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese imports. The government there is also under pressure from US businesses as they are complaining about rising costs from those tariffs on Chinese imports, as well as American business in China are also complaining that Chinese tariffs on US imports are also raising costs. We also saw weaker than expected producer prices out of the US yesterday for August, and those will be followed up by CPI numbers coming up later today. Looking at the Australian dollar, we can see that it did get a significant boost, moving away from those 2.5-year lows it touched earlier in the week. It came close to reaching the 0.72 handle. The Chinese yuan also recovered, moving away from 2.5-week lows, and adding to that those receding trade tensions. We also saw strong employment numbers out of Australia, boosting the Aussie. We saw the Australian economy adding 44,000 jobs in August versus forecast forecasts of just 15,000. Jobless rate, though, was steady at 5.3% in August. And finally, having a look at the pound, we can see the pound is holding comfortably above the 1.30 level against the dollar, and it did earlier come close to beating Tuesday's near 6-week high 1.3086. So there were reports yesterday that Conservative rebels were plotting to oust Theresa May, the UK Prime Minister, but then they came out with a statement saying that they want her to stay and that she has their backing, although they do oppose her Chequers plan for a post-Brexit relationship with the EU. So those talks between the UK and the EU do appear to be making some progress. The EU appears to have softened its demands on certain areas, in particular the Northern Irish border, though a deal is unlikely at a special summit being planned for November. We also have a Bank of England policy meeting coming up later today, though we're not likely to see much reaction to that as the bank isn't expected to make any changes to its policy. So looking at what's coming up other than the Bank of England, that's at 11 hours GMT. We also have the ECB policy meeting at 11:45 GMT, followed by US inflation numbers, plus speeches by Fed officials. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.